You disinterest, disinvest, and dismiss us students, and we are here to tell you, no more! We are the future! Invest in us!
Thank you. Our next
Invest
speaker,
in our
please.
education!
Our next
Do not
speaker.
criticize our parents. You do not know us.
Thank you. Our next.
During the board meeting on July 24th, a collective group of students gave speeches to the Board of Education. And there were a lot of really mixed emotions going on at that time. For a lot of kids, it was their first action, and for other kids, it was their first time doing an offense that could possibly be arrestable. So it was a very intimidating process, which CPS had pinned us into that boardroom.
And my speech was just about how we, the students, are the future, and education is so key, not only in the lives of the students, but to the future of our city. And I was saying that, you know, the board claims that they care about our future and they care about us, truly and personally as students. But how could that possibly be so if they, you know, if they're doing all these injustices to us? They're cutting our teachers. 1,036 of our teachers have been laid off. 1,077 of our staff of our supporting staff have been cut. You closed down 50 of our CPS schools, putting our elementary school students on the street crossing gang lines. That's 5 to 14-year-olds. It's just complete utter injustices. And why I broke down is because I was just thinking about all the children of the 49 school closed. 48 of them are elementary schools. That's 5 to 14-year-olds being forced to travel further to school, being forced to cross gang lines. And I just erupted because I could not stand to look in these people's faces while they tell me that they're doing what is best for me, what is just for me, what is better for my future. What they don't even know. They don't even know us. They don't live in our city. Their kids don't go to our schools.
At the Board of Education, we read these following demands. 1, a moratorium on all school closings. 2, a democratically elected Board of Education, including resignation letters from the current board members. 3, all future TIF funds, tax increment financing funds, be directed to CPS schools and not private institutions. When we read these demands, they ignored us, and that's the reason for us taking direct action. Our voice has been ignored by this unjust board, and it is now our duty to reject and overthrow it.
Thank you, Mr.
The duty
Floyd.
of a government is to
Our
serve
next
the interest of
speaker,
people,
please.
not corporation.
Our next speaker.
The Medusa's head is this country. You are one of the snakes. Now, in order to fight the snake, we must fight the head. We have to cut off the head to kill the snake. Because here we are battling the snake, but we must kill the head. And I consider you part of the oppression of our people, because whose schools are you taking? You are taking our people's schools, and the city of Chicago is becoming part of this institution and this oppression that continues to go down on our people and continues to hurt us and take away our education. Now, these budget cuts that I see, apparently you don't have the money, I don't have the money, so who has the money? This country has the money. These corporations have the money. These CEOs have the money. These banks have the money. And it's not fair. It's not fair. And people keep continuing to cry and yell and tell you that it's not fair, but no one listens.
So I feel like the head is like the U.S. and this institution of capitalism, and each snake is like a little branch that we have to fight. One is like, you know, corrupt, I don't know, politicians. Another one is like police beatings. Another one is, you know, poor conditions in our neighborhoods. So I feel like no matter how much we fight each little snake, we have to fight. We have to go down to the root. We have to go down to the head.
I strongly believe that the incidents we're facing in Chicago are not isolated events, that they're part of a larger plan by the powers that be, because when a kid's education is dependent on his success in a class with 40 students, an inexperienced teacher, and where his grades depend on high-stakes testing where it's win or go home, a lot of kids don't stay in school. They're forced to drop out, and the only possible career paths for them are either in the military or a life of crime. So we wonder why we have constant world wars, and we wonder why we have constant filled prisons, and it's because of this school to prison pipeline, the high stakes testing, and just the forcing of students to drop out of school. So we need to stop this. We need to stop overcrowded classrooms. We need to stop the privatization of education. We need to stop high stakes testing so that we can reinvent creativity and push students to be who they want to be and no longer censor them and force them into the military and prison.
Help them with these schools. Please help them. You need to go to that mayor and tell him to just quit his job. He's tearing down our education. Please tell him he is tearing down our education.
Sean, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Something wrong is with this boy. Something is wrong.
Thank you. Our next speaker. Our next speaker is Speaker 34.
I personally am a part of Chicago students organizing to save our schools, a student-led organization that started back in February in response to 129 school closings. We're students who are fighting for our public education, fighting for our teachers, and fighting for our schools. We have done many direct actions for one reason and one reason only. The people in Chicago who decide what happens to our education have ignored us. They've ignored our marches, they've ignored our petitions, so we must take direct action. Recently, we've been transitioning and forming a Chicago student union. The reason for this is because there's multiple different organizations right now, student-led in Chicago, all fighting for the same purpose. We think it'd be much stronger if we're able to unify this voice into a common opponent against CPS's tyranny. As a result, we're taking representatives from every school to unify them. And this isn't just happening in Chicago. This is happening all across the nation, in Seattle, New Orleans, and in Providence, Rhode Island. So the trick to leading a student movement is to take one fight and universalize it, to pair it up with other fights across the city and eventually other fights across the nation. Because our opponents, the corporate powers that be, the Board of Educations, are very strong, and we have to be stronger. So it's our responsibility to come together for a common goal.
I am a student attending Lincoln Park High School in the north side, or semi-north side of Chicago. The actions of CPS have affected me personally. How? First of all, not only is my school cutting back on teachers, which by the way, are teachers that not only have I had, but are actual mentors and just incredible people that I not only have the privilege of being a part of in a classroom, but also just, with conversations and in general. We've also cutting back on classes, not only subjects like art and music, but also core courses, even science. As a senior, I can't take 4 years of science education because my high school is cutting back on classes. And because I'm already pre-registered, I have no say over what classes I can take. Yes, that includes science. So CPS always talks about how we need to cut on funding as far as art and music. But these cuts at the end of the day affect all courses, including science. As far as to what we plan to do, well, we plan to do more actions, not only similar like this, but we're planning on taking this into a broader perspective, possibly talking to state representatives, writing to any politician within our community, working with community leaders, community organizations, just promoting a change, promoting action.
And then I want to say a message to any student seeing this or hearing this. It's vital that you join this educational movement, that you protect your education. And the best way you can do that is open up a Chicago student union in your school. Open up a club, elect 2 representatives, and send them to our student union. We need to get as many students, as many voices, as many schools, and as many communities engaged in this fight as possible. And it's our responsibility. It's our time. We have to act now.